days that come and go quietly. No fireworks, no milestones, no big events to mark them. Just sunlight spilling through the window, the faint sound of someone sweeping the yard, and the smell of coffee drifting through the room. You might not remember what day of the week it was, or what you were thinking about. It was just another morning, like many others before it. But somehow, when life moves on and everything becomes a blur, those quiet days stay. They hide somewhere in the corners of your memory, waiting to return when the world becomes too loud. You see, not every day is meant to shine. Some days exist only to remind us that peace doesn't always look grand. It can be small, soft, almost invisible. Think about one of those mornings. Maybe it was early, when the streets were still half asleep, and the air carried that calm stillness only found before the world wakes up. You made yourself a cup of tea, maybe toast or fruit, and you sat there without rushing. The light was gentle, the clock ticking softly in the background, and for a moment it felt like time had stopped just for you. Nothing remarkable happened that day. No achievements, no plans, no surprises. But in that simplicity, something inside you felt whole. You didn't realize it then, but that quiet morning was a kind of happiness too. It's funny how we spend years chasing moments that sparkle, only to realize later that the ones we remember most are the ones that whispered. The laughter of a loved one in another room, the hum of a fan in summer, the sound of rain tapping gently on the window. These are the sounds of life too. And then there are the people. The ones who shared those ordinary days with you without either of you noticing how special they were. Maybe it was a friend you used to meet often. You'd sit together at a small cafe, drinking something simple, talking about nothing that mattered. You didn't take pictures. You didn't plan anything. You just existed together for a while. Years later, when you think of that friend, it's not the big moments that come back. It's that lazy afternoon, the sound of ice clinking in your glasses, the sunlight bouncing off the table, the way their laughter filled the space. At the time, it was just another day. But now, it feels like a treasure from another lifetime. There were no grand endings, no promises of forever. Life just moved on, quietly, as it always does. Yet, some part of you still carries that day inside you. Because sometimes we don't remember people for what they said or did. We remember them for how peaceful it felt to be around them. Maybe you've had evenings like that too. You came home after a long day, tired, not expecting anything special. The house smelled of dinner. Someone was watching TV. Someone else was laughing about something small. You sat down, ate quietly, and talked about the usual things: the weather, the news, tomorrow's plans. At that time, it was all so normal. But now, when you think about it, you realize how rare those evenings really were. The people who once filled that space aren't always there anymore. The laughter has faded, replaced by a quieter kind of silence. And that's when it hits you. Those were the days that mattered. Not the ones full of noise or celebration, but the ones when you felt safe, connected, alive in the smallest ways. Maybe that's what life is trying to tell us. That beauty doesn't always arrive with noise or grand gestures. Sometimes it hides in the pauses, between words, between breaths, between heartbeats. We're always waiting for something big to happen. A success, a trip, a change. But what if the truth is that life is already happening, right now, in the moments we overlook? The way the light hits your desk, the quiet hum of your room, the softness of your own breathing. The ordinary can be extraordinary when you choose to see it that way. When we grow older, we start to understand that time doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in circles. We revisit places, moments, and people, if not in person, then in memory. And in those memories, time slows down again. You can almost smell the air, hear the laughter, feel the warmth. That's the magic of ordinary days. They age well. The things that once felt unimportant become the anchors that hold your heart steady. There was once a small afternoon you thought you'd forget. You were walking somewhere familiar, perhaps a park, perhaps just your street. The air smelled of rain and the world looked soft and slightly blurred. You saw a stranger smile or a child chasing a butterfly, and for a brief moment you felt alive without knowing why. That memory stays even when the reason fades. It's in these little moments that we realize something. Peace isn't found in perfection, it's found in presence. You don't need to fix everything, or do everything, or have everything figured out. You just need to be here, to notice, to breathe, to feel. The world moves fast. Days blend into weeks, and weeks into years. But sometimes it's worth pausing to ask yourself, what were the moments that really stayed? Was it the trip abroad, the party, the promotion? Or was it that one quiet afternoon when you stood under a tree, watching the light flicker through the leaves? Maybe one day, when life slows down again, you'll realize that you were never really chasing happiness. You were surrounded by it all along. You just didn't call it that. When you think of the people you love, you don't always remember the milestones. You remember the sound of their voice, the way they said your name, the way they listened when you spoke about something small. You remember being seen, being understood, being loved quietly. And maybe that's the lesson. The things that last aren't always the loudest. The most beautiful moments are often the ones we live through half aware, thinking they're nothing special, until they're gone. So if today feels plain, if nothing big happens, maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the kind of day you'll miss one day. Not for what happened, less but for how it felt. Let the sunlight fall on your hands. Listen to the small sounds of your world. Notice how your breath moves in and out, effortlessly. You don't have to make every day special. Some days are meant to be simple, because simplicity has its own quiet beauty. And when life rushes by too fast and you look back, you might realize those were the days that truly mattered. The days that felt ordinary, yet somehow stayed in your heart. And maybe the truth is this. Life doesn't ask us to collect extraordinary days. Life asks us to notice the ordinary ones before they slip away. Thank you for listening to Just Listen for a Bit. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.